Hi, folks. Steve Urban here, founder and CEO at recruiting and consulting firm Riderflex. If you think today's tip or guest interview can help someone you know, please share this with them. And if you enjoy listening to our show, please subscribe to our channel and hit the like button on the episodes. Finally, aside from our podcast, our day job here at Riderflex is to provide recruiting, staffing, and consulting services. You can visit riderflex.com to learn more about us and get the information on the services we provide. And now, a quick word from our sponsor and friends at Marketing 360.
Try the #1 marketing platform for small business. Everything you need from design to marketing to CRM. Learn more at marketing360.com. Marketing 360. Fuel your brand.
Reena Gupta on the Riderflex podcast. Hi, Reena. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
I love how you all branded there. You got Mom Relaunch on there. You got the book, Career Interrupted. Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are you in California today?
Yes, sunny California.
Sunny California. Whereabouts?
I live close to San Francisco. It's in East Bay, so
Okay.
in that area.
Do you still like it? I don't know. There's a lot of bad press about California these days. Is that just the news talking, or is that how people really feel? I don't know.
Well, it depends on who you ask. That's for sure. I moved to California from Tennessee, so I love to stay here. I love everything about it, but of course there are certain things going on which is not as pleasant. But overall, I still like it here.
Okay, very good. When did you move there? How long ago?
I moved here in 2011, so almost 10 years. So it's
Almost 10 years. Okay. All right. What part of Tennessee did you live in?
Nashville.
You lived in Nashville for a while? Oh, how long were you there?
Almost 10 years there too.
All right. All right. Do you know how to two-step and swing dance and all that? Did you learn all that while you were there?
I can. I still love that country dance and line dancing. There's a place that opened here in my city, which was doing line dancing, but it closed due to COVID. So it was a really good time to start doing that again. But yeah, I like it.
You still got but you got boots in the closet?
Just one.
Just one pair? Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. All right. Well, listen, tell me about your childhood, your parents, some early life stuff. Give us the Reena story real quick. Go for it.
Wow. If I tell you about my childhood, almost everyone gets amazed. I grew up in a joint family system. Do you know have you heard about what joint family system is?
No, you better tell the listeners. Go for it.
Okay. So joint family system is where a lot of people live together. They're related to each other. So we had a big family. Our house is like every floor, one floor. It was when we were growing up, there's one floor where people come in, and then there were bathrooms only on that floor. And because the earlier days, it's not like the bathrooms are attached to where you live, right? Then the second floor is where we live. The third floor where we cook. So, and then the fourth floor is where we just have our terrace and all that. And my dad and his three brothers, all his family, we grew up with a household of 21 cousins.
What? So, how many square feet was this place?
So you can imagine it's like a floor by floor. So I don't think it's unbelievably big house, but we all get our own little corners of the house. So one floor where everybody was living is like one corner is for one brother's family, the other is for others. So it seems big, but when you have 21 people, just kids, and then all other parents and grandparents and everyone living together, there's no concept of like, this is my room. It's everyone.
Right. Well, were your cousins always coming over and like taking your toys and stuff? Was that a problem?
Yeah. No, actually, I would say it gave us so much things to play with because it's just not what one person had. It's just like others had. And I remember there was one of my uncles. He was the first one to bring black and white television in his house. That was a big deal at that point.
Wow.
So we all used to go into his house and watch, and he used to bring in movies and videos. And so not everybody has to have it because one person already had it. So the shared resource concept was very well utilized at that point. And we felt part of it. Imagine like right now, every person has their own little laptop and little own TV, and that is like 20 people watching the same show and not shouting. Shouting is like, where is my channel? Imagine that. There is no concept like that. So it's an unbelievable childhood.
Wow.
The only word I can tell you, and we are still so well connected with each other now with so much going on with WhatsApp and others. We are always chatting. Today itself, I had a call with several of my cousins to see how they're doing. So it's a connection and the bond that is beyond something that we can describe.
That is special. Do you have anybody in the Bay Area with you that you're related to from that family or no?
So unfortunately, not my side of the family are big in US, but almost everybody from my husband's family is in US. So I never felt.
Did he have the same thing, like a house full of 20 people?
No, he grew up in a very so-called nuclear family concept, but the bonding with his uncles and aunts were very strong for him too. And we have several relatives in the Bay Area. In fact, one of remember the 21 cousins that I mentioned to you about, it turns out that when I was doing my internship, remember that it's not like calling and talking to them and say, hey, I got an internship in your city, I'm just coming over. And I went and stayed with him for 6 months. Turns out that his son was with me for some time. So talk about how things can come and all in a cycle. So now, his son is here, and we have amazing family here. So
very nice, very nice. And okay, so how did you come here for school? How'd you get to Tennessee? Walk me through that.
So another interesting thing for my story, since you're talking about which everybody finds interesting, is I had an arranged marriage, and my husband was in Tennessee at that time. He was working for GE. So I came to US after getting married. And
so when your parents said, hey, you're going to marry this guy, were you like, no, I don't want to marry this guy?
There is a very interesting discussion that I end up having, and we will need 10 podcasts to discuss about arranged marriage, the pros and cons and all that. But in my situation, it turned out so well that I don't think I would have taken any other way around.
Really?
So yeah,
very good.
And it's interesting. Like my dad, he had like 3 boys that he had like, okay, these are the 3 boys that we can go and talk about you. And my husband, who turns out to be on number 1 on his list. So my mom is like, okay, so he got it. It's very interesting. I mean, I'll tell you, we talk so much about what's good and bad in relationship, but there's a beauty of arranged marriage. There is ups and downs in any relationship. But in fact, my co-author of my book, she's asking me to write a story on my arranged marriage and how it worked out so well. So next year we will be 25th anniversary. So
congratulations. How many children?
Yeah, 2 kids. I have my son, he's a sophomore in USC, and my daughter is high school sophomore.
Very nice. Well, congratulations on that wonderful family. All right. So you go to Tennessee, and are you thinking, I'm gonna go to school? What am I gonna be? What am I gonna do? Do you have a plan?
So I I got married after doing my master's in computer applications. And so when I came here, remember the internship with my cousin that I talked about, that was all the experience I had. It's like a 5 months of internship. And I came here. I was very lucky. I applied for a job, got the employer to do my H1. I started working and within 6 months because it takes time to do that visa. So I think it was very, very lucky for me to get started as my own career. And uh, another interesting thing about me is the family that I was growing up was very loving, was very caring, but they didn't encourage girls to have career. So you're studying because you are going to get married to a nice family, which I was very lucky to. So I got married. My husband was just the opposite. He and his family was very progressive. We even another interesting fact about me is like we got married within our own community. So we even had the same last names. So we didn't even had to we didn't even had to change our last names. I mean, talk about like this issues and discussions that happen, whether you're going to change. It's like none of those things happened to us because everything fell in place. So
that is so ironic that you came from such a what I would call a conservative environment where you're told this is who you're going to marry, you don't need a career, and now you live in one of the most progressive liberal parts of the planet.
Absolutely. With the most progressive person also, by the way. So for me, the opportunities were like, okay, every time I ever wanted to do something, this is the opportunity, and I just grabbed on it.
Wonderful. Okay. So you had you don't have to go through your whole career, but why don't we jump into the first time you started a company and why you did that, when you made that leap. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so another story time, right? So I was very keen on learning a few technologies. So I kind of switched from being a consultant to a full-time, and like I would say within 3.5 years, I was working as a chief technical architect for a startup company in Tennessee. That was building assessment for K-12 schools, math and reading, and I architected the whole system there.
Okay.
And that company was started by an ex-mayor, and he decided to run for governor, and he sold his company to McGraw-Hill. At that point, they said, "Oh, we don't need another architect. We are a big company," so they let my position go. And I was expecting at that time, and I said, "Okay." And I remember the talk with my CEO at that time, who became the governor, fortunately, and he said, sometimes we think that what's happening is not right, but in hindsight, you might look at the situation and say, oh, that was the best thing to happen. And he told me some story about how he was having his first child and he wanted to take a leap and wanted to make the child proud. Some of those things still stick to your head, right? All these people, when they talk to you about being such accomplished. So I took that as an opportunity, and I was thinking what to do. Suddenly, within a month, I was called back. When I called back, I said, I'm not going to come full time. I'm going to, so I started my own so-called one-person consulting show. And then I saw the need of that company. Obviously, McGraw-Hill wanted to grow, so they wanted to hire more people. So I gave them a very, we call as the irresistible offer in terms of these days. I said, I have architected the system. I can bring the people through my company. I can train them. And I converted that into an IT staffing company. And they were getting trained resources because the best thing that they can do is have somebody come and be on this up to speed quickly. And
so let me take a pause right there for the listeners. So you went back to the company that laid you off and you said, hey, I know that you need various talent and various departments. I know you have problems staffing that. I've built a applicant tracking system, and I have a database over here, and I have connections.
No, I didn't build the applicant tracking system at that time at all. That was my first. Okay, so that was my company. I didn't even know what an applicant tracking system is. I didn't even know what a consultant is. I had no idea how staffing industry works. So I started as an independent consultant myself, and then as a sole proprietor, and then I converted that into an LLC to make it run as a staffing company. I started to staff for that McGraw-Hill client, and I just focused on that one client for 1 year because I had my child. My Mom Relaunch story actually started there because I trained my good friend who was a stay-at-home mom and made her my first employee. So my
Mm,
story goes, everything is so connected together. It's like all the way back to
mm,
that was in
mm.
2003 when there was no women empower movement or nothing like that. And then we started talking about all these things. So yeah, it was a very interesting journey. So
And what was the name of that company?
𝐬𝐿𝐞𝐻,
𝐓𝐡𝐨𝐬𝐞.
𝐬𝐿𝐞,
So 𝐓𝐡𝐨𝐻 was basically an IT staffing company.
yeah, started as
Okay.
an IT staffing company.
Okay. All right. And were you your second or third year? Were you making decent money? Were you
Yeah,
doing well?
I started placing more and more people. Then I converted 𝐬𝐿𝐞𝐻 into a consulting company, and then specialized into Salesforce consulting company. So that's became a big turning point for my company's career, because we then, since 2005, we turned into the Salesforce ecosystem and just stayed focused on that, started building products, started building applicant tracking system, Target Recruit on top of Salesforce platform. We
Mm.
integrated, we developed an integration product called 𝐷Bsync. So all these things in there. And now when I started Mom Relaunch, I still started with Salesforce. So it was really an amazing ecosystem for me to
So,
try
but
there.
now 𝐓𝐡𝐨𝐻 is still active. It's still going, or did you sell it,
It is.
or
𝐬𝐿𝐞𝐻 is still active. It's just has become a more like a PEO company, just supporting my other things for Mom Relaunch or 𝐷Bsync or Target Recruit. So we don't do IT staffing much at all.
I see.
But then it's more about just we started doing payroll with that and then just stick with that. So it has
Okay.
literally the term that we can use is called as a PEO company.
I see. So no employees under 𝐓𝐡𝐴 right now, or do you?
Oh, employees are under 𝐬𝐿𝐞𝐻, but
Uh,
doing other work while the Mom Relaunch or
I
𝐷Bsync
see.
are
Gotcha.
related to
Okay.
it.
Okay. How many employees total do you have, or can you share that?
Well, it's a small company, so no big deal. So no
Okay.
point in that.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. And so you're doing this IT staffing. 𝐓𝐡𝐴 is moving along. You get involved with some other things. You're involved with Salesforce a little bit. How does Mom Relaunch? Where does that come from? Walk me through that transition and that launch.
Sure. So remember, I told you my first employee was a
Yeah.
stay-at-home mom,
Yeah.
and that bug has been in my head forever. I
Okay.
was running my companies, and within my company, I gave opportunity to a lot of women who were talented, but gave them the flexibility to work, gave them the proper training, and they were. I always give three attributes: they're productive, they're loyal, and they're accountable. These three things I've proven over and over again in my own company. So one of the companies that I sold in 2018 that was called Target Recruit, that was an applicant tracking system that we built on Salesforce.
Nice.
After selling that, I decided to focus on this and think that it's something that I can make it as a program. So I started Mom Relaunch in 2018, went to Salesforce and say, I want to nurture women in this technology. And I just stayed focused on Salesforce admin, Salesforce developers, and almost for 2 years, just literally focused on those two areas. And then we have crafted out a four-step process for it. And now we are branched out to multiple other technologies, including IBM. And a few other areas, which is like project managers, QA, a few others. So 9 areas that we do with Mom Relaunch, but still focused on IT. And so it's a way for me to go back and do what I feel I'm meant to do. I feel like people have started to call me Chief Nurturing Officer, because that's one of the talks that I gave to in Dreamforce is, if every company has the concept of nurturing talent instead of always looking for hiring and all that, this talent and this great resignation would not be a problem anymore.
Bingo.
Thank you. Thank you. And then I also talk about is, while I run Mom Relaunch, I feel that companies like Mom Relaunch exist because of the failure of the corporate world. If they do these things that in their own company, companies like Mom Relaunch does not have to exist. So while I'm running my own company, I wish that this company does not have to be doing what they have to do if other companies take their full responsibilities in there. So that's kind of it's a bottom line, and I firmly believe that we are here to make a difference in someone's life, and if I am in a position to do it, I should. And if women like us won't do it, who would? So these are some of the things is very, very important part of how I need to feel that I'm making an impact. And we have done pretty good. It's all my companies have always been small and bootstrapped. And I'm proud to say that we ran Mom Relaunch just on my own funding and been helping as much as I can with all my time and money. We just got a Mom Relaunch Foundation also registered. So hopefully we can get some other people to come and support with their grants and donations. So we'll see what happens, what brings next year. But
are you a candidate services company or a recruiting company or both? How do you make your money?
So we make money on success of moms. So when we started Mom Relaunch, there was no fee or anything, but then we realized that we need some skin in the game from moms who are coming to our program. So we introduced a small monthly fee in which they come and stay with our program. Remember, they are on a gap or they are transitioning. The most important thing that looking for is experience. So we have built our whole program around giving them the experience. And we go to the clients and say, if you like their resume, if they based on what they are, if you're willing to try them before you hire. So in a staffing world, as you know, it's the cost of wrong hire can be very high. So we go back and say, try before you hire. If you like it, that's fine. Otherwise, it will end up giving experience to them. So that's kind of a new concept that we have created. And
I like that. So the candidate pays a small fee, and then whatever the hourly rate for that person to work there as a 1099, then you tack on a little bit extra that the company. So you're making a little bit of profit off of that too. Okay, got it. All right.
And also, we prefer people to be full-time employed. I don't want to be a staffing company. We want people to have a job. So we tell clients if they want to hire them full-time, they can hire full-time or contract to hire or try however they want to. But if clients are willing to pay their fee, that's great. Otherwise, moms pay us. And that too, it's a very minimal fee. So it's not a very money-making thing.
But it's helping. But it's helping people. Hey, we just did this recently. One of the folks on our team, Sabrina, I'm sure she won't mind me mentioning this. She was a stay-at-home mom. She contacted me. She said, "Hey, I want to start part-time. I can ease my way in. I'll help with whatever." And now she's director of operations and recruiting. And so, very similar situation. I didn't think about Mom Relaunch when we were doing it, but it does work. It does work. If you'll give them a chance, give them a little bit of experience, get them in the door, and stop overlooking the fact that they haven't worked in a couple of years or a year or whatever. I mean, so it worked out great for us.
We have launched women who have even 10 plus years of experience and in fields that they have never worked. So I feel very proud of it. I feel that companies who are giving them the opportunity, we need more of them. So it's doable, definitely doable.
Is Target Recruit still active? You said you sold it, I think.
Yeah, it's still active, but it is being run by the people who bought it. So.
And was that a retirement exit for you? Was that a, hey, I'm a multimillionaire, I can just chill, or what?
I would say so, because now I go back and say retirement is a definition of retirement in my language is to do something that you want to do, not just sit at home.
Very good. I like that.
So that's why I started Mom Relaunch. That's why I'm doing Career Interrupted. That's why I'll start doing more workshops. It's not that I'm in a rat race anymore. So I won't be called gay. So it just gives me the pace, it gives me the engagement, it gives me the satisfaction that I always wanted to do.
How many employees did Target Recruit have, or was it more of a software sell?
It was more like a software sell.
I see.
It was a software sell.
Okay. All right. Congratulations on a successful exit.
Thank you. It was definitely a great exit for me.
Who purchased it? Salesforce?
No, no, I wish, but no. We had a couple of people who were running their search fund, and they purchased it, and they ran their own company, a SaaS-based product, and they did
I
very
see.
well. So it's in good
Okay.
hands.
Very good. All right. And then what? You got bored and decided to write a book or what?
No, boy. So my book is another story. I thought I did an amazing job of running us from a small town girl to running solo bootstrapped businesses. So I'm going to write a book on that. And
Love it.
I reached out to my co-author on LinkedIn and say, hey, I know I have ideas, but I need some help on writing it down. So I need a ghostwriter. So she said, and she said, what do you want to write it? And I said, I want to write about business. And she said, okay, now I think you have lost your mind, because the work that you're doing with Mom Relaunch is so much better. So let's write about that. And we started talking about in March 2020. And then suddenly we knew what happened. And the fact that career interruption became a reality for so many people, not only just moms. So this book is more geared towards anyone. Like, we have taken 4 personas in this book, which is obviously, one is the one who are the career returners. The second are the ones who are getting laid off. Third are the people who are in their career rut or career burnout, which this whole great resignation is going through the same thing in there. And the fourth and very interesting personas that we have found is people are delaying starting a family. We call it as parental indecision. And then we take all these 4 personas of how they reinvest in themselves and how they relaunch. And when they relaunch, they have 3 options how to become an entrepreneur. So my first book became a chapter in this book. And the second option is how to be successful in being in a traditional job. And third is how can you be a freelancer, which 50% of the workforce is going and gearing towards that by doing it full-time, being a part-time freelancer or a full-time freelancer. So the do's and don'ts of every path, the do's and don'ts of how they can create a process. And at the end of the book, we give them an actionable 1-page strategy, which we call as a work-life canvas.
Okay.
And that they can keep to make it accountable for themselves, share it with others. So it's a very action-oriented book to take control of and gain the work-life harmony. So that's what the book is all about.
Very good. And by the way, for the listeners, really quick, you can find it, Career Interrupted by Reena Gupta, on Amazon. You can purchase it on Amazon or what, anywhere else, basically?
Yeah, I mean, from my website also, .net, careerinterrupted.net. And if they choose a local store option, I have my signed copies in the local store, so they will be shipping it through my store as well. So I am a person who supports local business, local economy. So my recommendation would be to select the store option, and they can get a signed copy from there.
Oh, nice. Okay, very good. All right. And by the way, also, while we're talking about URLs and websites, momrelaunch.com, momrelaunch.com is where you can go to learn more about Mom Relaunch. And of course, you can always go to LinkedIn, and Reena Gupta is right there with like 22,000 followers. And connect with her there, right, as well. Does that sound good?
Absolutely.
So the book's been out for a couple of months, I think, roughly. I noticed you got a nice little 18 reviews, 5-star rating on Amazon. That's very nice. I picked up on that. That's good. I'm going to make sure I send you my address, of course, when we stop talking.
Absolutely.
So you can send me a copy.
Signed copy, right?
Yeah, a signed copy. Yeah, for sure.
Yes,
if you had to give a couple of pieces of advice for an aspiring entrepreneur that wants to start something, but they haven't, and I know we could do a full podcast on that topic, but do you want to share a couple of little things really quick? They haven't started yet, but they're trying to get going. What would you say?
So, by the way, another thing I do is I teach entrepreneurship to high school students as well.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
So,
Okay.
yeah. So entrepreneurship is who I am. I believe in experiencing something that you really want to do. And there is one thing I will highly recommend is in my book, I talk about this, is there's a concept of negative visualization. So many people are scared of starting the business or doing anything is because they're scared of failure. That's the number one reason why people don't start. So before you do and start anything, get so deep into that negative visualization is whatever you are thinking of doing is not going to work, is absolutely going to fail. And then get into it and feel how you are feeling emotionally, how you're going to survive that financially, who is going to be what, and what is going to be your plan B. Have that sorted out before you take your next step. Also do a similar exercise on positive visualization. If everything goes well, what would happen? And live with that feeling for it, and don't ask anyone. You have to experience that feeling in your own. You have to visualize your failure, your success, and plan B for whatever happens. If you're able to do that, I think you will be able to take that success. You just have to get over that fear. And there's fear can be, this is just my way. When I was writing this book, I was like, so many times I said, okay, writing a book, I have never written an proper article and things like that. But now writing a book was a major step for me. I didn't even know if I was ready. And so many times I was like, this book is going to be an utter failure. So what? And I said, okay, doesn't matter. At least I tried, right? At least I was in a position to do it, right? I was able to do that. So you have to know what your plan B is, what you will do if what you're thinking is not going to work, because many people will go and say, just go and do it. No, that's where things doesn't work out very well, in my opinion. But emotionally feel yourself in both situations, experience that feeling, get into that zone. And when you get into that zone, you will know how you will feel when it happens. And that's the experience. Sorry, I went a little spiritual there.
No, that's good stuff. Reena, that's good stuff. I've never heard anybody put it like that. I really like that.
Thank you.
Really, really tie into the emotional feel as much as possible on both ends of the spectrum. I like that. That's good stuff.
Thank you.
How about this? I wasn't going to ask you this, but how about a couple of pieces of advice for anybody that wants to write a book, but they haven't started? Anything you want to tell them?
Yeah, so writing a book is a process. Okay. And you may see a lot of people giving advice. You will say, you'll be shocked how many books I read on how to write a book, how many things I have studied to know what the process is. And there are various ways, whether you want to become a self-publisher or do self-publishing or go through a publisher and all that. And after going through so many pros and cons of each thing, I decided to write and do it under my own, decided to write a publishing company called Visdosity Publications. So this is, I don't know if you can see it.
The cameras, yeah, but okay, so it's your own, what is that, a separate LLC? Did you start a separate LLC for that? All right.
Yeah. So my first advice is, if you're thinking of writing a book, come and talk to me.
See, you just started. Now you got a new consulting arm right there.
Yes, I am thoroughly enjoying this book. And because, the name Visdosity is derived from Wisdom City. And this name was given by my daughter, who is a sophomore in high school. Oh. And she and I are kind of co-founders on this whole venture. She's the one who edited my book. And it brought a new talent of her to the surface. I never knew that she and now she's doing a journalism in her school. And so you never know what you do opens up doors for people around you. And this book has created so many discussions, but the concept of we're planning to do a lot more books. So it's a journey. It's a journey, and you have to give your best self when you're writing a book, because it's not going to be money making. It's going to give you a satisfaction, and I call books as your glorified business card. So a lot of authors would say that, but it's an amazing thing.
That's one of the first pieces of advice I was told was, look, it's like a business card. Don't plan on making any money off of it. In fact, it's probably going to cost you money. And if you kind of go into it with that mindset, then, hey, if you actually make some money, great, but don't plan on it. Yeah. Interesting. You know, your daughter's friends, they don't even know what the term co-founder means. She's like, she's like, I'm a co-author, I'm a co-founder, cap tables, operating agreements, LLC. Her friends are like, huh? What are you talking about?
Yeah, we have our entrepreneurial journey. Bug runs in our family. So
That's great.
Both my kids and my husband, everyone have their own businesses. So
they do. What's your husband do, by the way?
So he runs the integration company called 𝐷𝐵𝐶, which is again the product that he was the brain behind turning 𝐓𝐡𝐨𝐬𝐞 into products company behind from services. So I was a very services person, and he was more like a product guy. So 𝐷𝐵𝐶 was the first product that we created under 𝐓𝐡𝐨. Then Target Recruit came in. So he was the brain behind it. My son, he started his own company because he was very keen on teaching financial literacy to students.
Really?
So he did his company called Peersdom, which is wisdom from peers. So, and my daughter is Wisdosity. So we are all sharing wisdom here.
Well, there's a lot of smart people in your house.
Well, we're just having fun. That's all.
That's very good. How about that? That's great. Okay. Thank you for sharing all of that. What's the plan now, Reena? Are you going to just continue being a consultant on various things, continue with Mom Relaunch? Do you think you'll go run another bigger company? What do you want to do from here, I guess, is the question.
Yeah, so currently I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I think there are few areas that I really am passionate about. Number one, of course, the women empowerment and getting them. My mission is to make every woman financially independent. Let's see how much I can do it. But the second thing that I also am very passionate about is the youth programs. So the teaching entrepreneurship, and I'm also working on some companies to advise them on some creating career opportunities for youth. So those two areas are definitely of my interest, but I'm involved in a lot of other fun stuff. I just joined Rotary. I just being part of a community fund. So I'm exploring. I'm doing a lot of exploration myself. I enjoy meeting people. I go and do a few things as part of to keep my brain going. I'll start doing workshops with my book, and I just signed up for a workshop for another group of women who are going through some financial distress. So there are a few things that I will continue to do, but I'm also open to having, which I'm already doing, some advisory roles. Not So next year we'll see how it goes but I take 1 year at a time in my planning. So
are your mom and dad still alive? I guess is the first question.
My mom is alive. My dad is no more.
So when you call your mom and you tell her, I want to make all women independent, knowing where she came from, her background, what does she say to that? I'm curious. How does she respond?
So interestingly, remember I told you my family when I was growing up was not career focused, and I was the first woman in my family to even have a career. So I think I've led a good path for people to follow, and a lot of girls in my family are now having great careers. So now that whole concept of my family have changed. So they don't see that as a problem. And now, of course, my mom feels very proud of where I am. And she always asks us, like, so how many people have relaunched? So that's my question.
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Last question here before I hit stop on the recording, but hang on to the line here before you hang up. But I'll want to ask you one more thing. If you had to put your core purpose in life right now into a sentence, what would that sound like for you?
Not even a sentence. I can summarize that in one word. It's called nurturing. My nurturing is, I think I feel good when I can make an impact on anyone's life, and not in a way of coaching, not in a way of giving directions, but telling them what's best for them and let them do it. I think I'm pretty successful in that so far. So I summarize that, and I think that's where I drive my energy.
Reena, thank you so much for being on the Riderflex podcast and sharing your story. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I hope it was good for your audience, and I hope they can learn and share some of their feedback.